I'm Captain Rick Riles. Welcome to another edition of the Florida Sportsman Action Spotter Podcast. We got a lot of fun. I tell you what, I'm predicting we're going to have a lot of very happy action spotters this week, as I have seen reports from all over the state with fantastic fishing going on this spring. And man, I tell you, did we need it. I never thought, I'll just tell you straight up, I never thought we'd see another mahi spring like we're seeing it on the East Coast. Big fish, 61.9. That's a monster mahi. Been a lot of 50s, a lot of 40s. My buddy Will Myers went today. He was out of bait by 11 o'clock. It's just crazy how good the mahi fishing has been. But first thing we're going to do is make a quick trip over to Nosara, Costa Rica, check in with Craig Sutton. I hope their fishing's been as good. I want to hear about the marlin from over there. Then we'll come back to Jacksonville, get the word from up that area from David Voorhees, work our way down the East Coast, up the West Coast, and out the Panhandle. And here's what I want to know from the guys tonight. Everybody's got their favorite tackle shop. Well, a lot of us are traveling this time of year. I want to know, if I go to Tampa, what is the one tackle shop I can't miss? If I go to the Keys, where do I want to go? It's going to be fun. We'll check in with the boys and see what we can find out. Hey, you got to remember, this week's Action Spotter is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. By Shimano, bringing people and nature together. By Tournament Master Chum. Oh, it's the best chum on earth, all right. By Nosara, Paradise Rentals, your dream vacation. By D.O.A. Lures, the unfair advantage. By Young Boats, you want the finest in flats bay and offshore hybrids, you need to check out youngboats.com. And finally, the Castaway Hat Company. Now, that's a hat that's going to save your skin, and it's helping us save our seas. Let's get rolling. We're going to check in with Nosara, Costa Rica first and find out what Craig Sutton's up to. Our first stop this evening, and every Action Spotter evening, is in Nosara, Costa Rica. Why? Because I've traveled quite a bit. I've been to Venezuela. I've been to Mexico. I've bill fished a lot of places. I've never found the equal for a great trip, a relaxed atmosphere, and fantastic blue water fishing like Nosara, Costa Rica. I got to check in with my boy Craig Sutton. Craigie, how are you?
I'm good, Ricky. Real good, buddy. How about you?
I'm one day closer to coming to Costa Rica, so I know I'm good.
Well, you got to say it's close blue water, too, now.
I was shocked to learn that you actually lost a day to weather this week.
Actually, it was last week. We actually lost 2 trips this month to weather, which that's really the first trip we've lost. And, we didn't lose a trip last year. We postponed one instead of leaving at 9. It left at 9:30, but we still got the day in. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing, But we're bound to lose some anyway. It's fall season. Fall's almost full bloom down there. I'm sure that, today being the full moon, it's after the full moon, it's going to be full on fall weather, and that's fine. The fishing's super good now. It really gets way better, but. But we did lose a couple trips this month. Fishing's been good,
Good.
Been good. We just, those big mahi just been so consistent this year. But we, I think I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We haven't gotten the big 200-plus pound yellowfins yet. Normally we'd have 3 or 4 by now, and then between now or the end of May and the end of August, we get about 5 or 6 more. But, it's fishing, man.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's a monstrous, that's a bad animal right there now when you get a yellowfin.
It is. He's got no quit in him.
No,
He's
not
got
a bit.
no quit.
No.
Not a bit.
You and I have talked about it. I've caught lazy sailfish. I've even caught lazy blue marlin. I ain't never caught a lazy yellowfin tuna.
Nope. And I don't care whether it's 15 pounds or it's 180. They don't quit. I lost one last November right at the boat that just still makes me sick. He was probably 220, maybe 210. We saw him come across the water and torpedo the bait. He was just a massive fish. And the actual crimp split in half, which I've never seen that before. But, you put a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
They're going to find the weak link. But,
yeah.
Yep. Hey, fishing, man.
Every chain's got a weak link. Any marlin this week?
One.
I'll be darned. Okay.
The marlin been kind of slow lately.
How about sailfish?
And I don't. Yeah, oh, yeah. But not, we're not doing a lot of double-digit days. One here, one there. But we have not. The sailfish bite this year has not been what it normally is.
Huh.
It's, we'll get 4 or 5 in a day, and a lot of times the client, after they catch 4 or 5, they want to go do something different. So they'll veer off and do something different, but which is fine with us. But it doesn't, we don't rack up those giant numbers. It kind of makes everybody go, wow.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I tell you what, there's, when you start counting how many days you lost by the year, that's a pretty. We lost 2 days last year. I still remember. That's pretty consistent fishing right there. Now, there's no doubt about it. All right.
I tell down there, it's not whether or not the weather lets you go fishing, it's whether or not you got enough money to go fishing.
Yeah, I know about that. Yep. Hey, what's the fuel price down there now?
It's about $10 a gallon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Gas bill's gone up about 40%.
Yep. Let's go, Brandon. All right, buddy. Yeah. We appreciate it. We'll get a report from you next week. Thank you, Craigie. Craig Sutton checking in from Nosara Paradise Fishing. You need to check out fishingnosara.com. It's time to get rolling in Florida. That starts up in the northeast corner with one Captain David Voorhees. Cap, how we doing?
Hey, doing good, buddy.
Good. I understand as good as the offshore fishing has been off Jacksonville, the mahi bite has been incredible lately. A little bit of a struggle inside, is that right?
Well, it has been. That's just because we've had so much change. And, I tell people really pay attention to things that are happening around you. For example, we had a northeaster really blew in a lot of water. It did blow in some nice clean water. However, it was very cold, and that water temperature went from my last report, which was 77 degrees, it dropped all the way down to 73. And that's quite a drop, and that's sort of a shocker for a lot of these fish. I think a lot of the fish pushed way back up, stayed with the warmer water. You travel up and down the intercoastal, and you can see this color change, as you get deeper into the intercoastal and deeper into the St. Johns River. You lose that bluish, greenish color, and you get to the more tannic brown, which we like to see. I'm sort of not a fan of that blue-green water. When I see it, it's like I almost want to head the other way. But on the other hand, it's good for other species. The trout, flounder, it doesn't seem to bother the flounder. It doesn't seem to bother the trout. And we actually got some nice sheephead this week. We caught some really nice sheephead, and I'm talking in the 4 and 5 pound range. But for the redfish, they tend to push. They tend to move out of that colder water, and it made for some tough fishing. Plus, on top of that, we had extremely high tides. I think the tides were running at least 1.5 feet, sometimes even almost 2 feet higher than what was predicted, and that's quite a change. There were some tailing reds and some tailing sheepheads up in the grass this past week. If you had to, if you got out there and saw them, I heard of more guys throwing at them, seeing them, didn't hear a lot of guys catching them, and I don't know what that was. But anyway, so it was really a time, this week was a time of a lot of changes. Now, however, the week coming up, I think things are going to get back to normal. We're going to get back in the high 70s. We've got this warming trend, extreme warming trend. So it's going to swing from one end all the way to the other. And I think the bite's going to start picking up here really, really soon.
David, I'm kind of thinking on those tailing fish, we might have been maybe a little bit of inexperience. If you haven't done it before, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a sheep's head and a redfish when they're tailing. And
and that's what I was thinking.
Case, if that's the case,
I thought that right away, Rick. I said, I bet they were sheephead.
They were throwing in sheephead.
And yes, and it is hard. And you got to look at that tail. And the sheephead's tail is going to be a lot pointier. It's going to be really pointy. And a lot of times you can once you've seen enough redfish tails, there's no mistaking them. You know right away. You know, someone who's done it a lot, we go out there right away. We know, that's a redfish. We see those sheephead, we seem to go, oh, let's keep looking for reds, because everybody up here who fly fishes on the grass knows that the hardest fish there is to catch is that sheephead. Yep. And there's not a fly fisherman around here that don't remember the exact day and time and tide when they caught their first sheephead on a fly rod. It's that spectacular.
I don't remember it. You know why?
Because you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, David, if somebody comes to Northeast Florida, Mayberry had his Floyd's Barbershop, right?
Yep.
There might have been a half a dozen barbershops in Mayberry, but there was only Floyd's, okay? What tackle shop in your neighborhood, if somebody's visiting Northeast Florida, can't they miss?
Oh, that's a no-brainer, Rick. That's a no-brainer. It's an absolute. There's only one. There is no other tackle shop in Northeast Florida. There are the big stores and so forth, but there's only one true tackle shop, and that's the Strike Zone on Beach Boulevard, just east of 295. And not only will you find about anything you need and everything you need in fishing and even fly fishing, you're going to get excellent help. The guys that have been working there, and you know what? I used to say this about restaurants. I always knew a good restaurant when you saw employees that had been there for years and years and years and years and never leave. You know that company is doing something right. They're taking care of the employees, like being there, and that's a true sign of a good business, is when their employees have been there for many, many years, and that's what you're going to get in the Strike Zone. And my God, these guys, I mean, from rigging from rigging your reels, but to absolutely talking to probably every charter captain, every captain in Northeast Florida walks into that store. So, and I guarantee they're picking their brains. And, Dave Workman, he is a pillow of our community. The whole family, starting with his dad, just an unbelievable story of this whole fishing industry. You cannot talk about Northeast Florida without mentioning the Workman.
Well, all I can tell you about Strike Zone is David, as you know, I have devoted my whole life to fishing off Jacksonville. I mean, it's what I've always done. It's what I always will do. When something's bothering me, when I want to know what's best to do about this, I'll call Archie. I mean, I'm calling Strike Zone, talking to Archie. We're going to talk it over and work it through. They've got the inventory of a Bass Pro Shops with the quality personnel of a tackle shop that's been there 100 years. I mean, that's just who they are.
Exactly. And Dave's the type of guy, I've been in there before, and I'm looking for something. He comes up to me, says, is there something we don't have? And I'm like, I'm looking for this particular color. And he'll order it. He will get it for you. If they don't have it and there's something you say, oh man, they've been tearing them up, Dave will order it for you. And that's what I like. I like customer service. In a world where we're seeing fewer and fewer of it, go to Strike Zone and you will not be disappointed with the customer service.
I think we've done a good enough job for Dave. Listen, as always, David, I appreciate it so much. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Yeah, and if I'm not here, I'll be at the Strike Zone.
Oh, okay. All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Thank you, Dave. Now let's skip on down to my favorite fishing village on the east coast of Florida. That would be Stewart, and one Captain John Earhart. John, how are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Woo! You seen a few mahi around there lately?
I got to tell you, there's been plenty of mahi action. It seems like the whole East Coast has been overrun with them, and
don't say
more than willing.
I was going to say, don't say overrun. That hurts my feelings.
Yeah, so a lot of action out front, about 100 foot of water right now. We got peanuts, schoolies, some nice gaffers. They just did the Patrick Price Memorial sinking of the ship that they had for him, and Nick was running the Daymaker, and they caught a nice 39-pound mahi right after that viewing. So, I mean, there's still plenty of big fish around. 20 to 30 pounds. I haven't heard any 50 pounders this week, but if you want to catch them, now's the time to be out there. I've always thought May is a great month to target mahis with great success, and this year seems to be one of those years where if you can get out there and the conditions are right and you find a weed line and you spend the time, you're going to catch plenty of mahis. There's some nice black fins mixed in. I've seen a few wahoos caught this week in the deeper water, outside of 180 feet, and inside, 180, anywhere 90 to 160. We're seeing a few sailfish. So there's starting to see some sailfish moving in. Not high numbers, but definitely, you can expect to get a few hookups if you're trolling in that 90 to 160 or live bait fishing this time of year.
I tell you, John, it's hard to it's hard to say that how big these fish are. Just south of you, my buddy George Labonte out of Jupiter got a 61.9 the other day. I just can't visualize when we've had a better year, at least out of the last 10 years. Now, many years ago it was better, but it's just tremendous this year. That's for doggone sure.
For the Treasure Coast. For the Treasure Coast, that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've seen like one guy will get a 50 pounder, once a year, but like to hear of several guys catching fish over 50 pounds right out front of our inlet, and you only really got to go 8-10 miles out, that's absolutely phenomenal. That's like Bahama quality fish. So I would definitely be out there trolling or live bait fishing for mahi this month. It just seems like we got a good run going, and it's time to take advantage.
And it's hard for me to say that we're having a flurry of blue marlin up here, but I'll bet you there's been a half a dozen caught in the last week. Anyway,
wow.
So for us, that's pretty good. John, I appreciate the heck out of it. Hey, if somebody visits your area, what tackle shop can't they miss?
The number one tackle shop that most people visit when they come to Jensen Beach, Stewart area would be the Snook Nook Bait and Tackle. It's been around forever. They got a little bit of everything in there, and they're more than willing to share all the information of where to go fishing and how to fish when you're fishing in the Treasure Coast.
That's perfect, and they're right there at the scene of the action, so that's outstanding. The Snook Nook in Stewart gets your vote. Thank you, John. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Yep, I'll talk with you next week.
Thank you, buddy. That means it's time to visit the mayor of Miami, but before we do that, let's hear a word from Shimano. I'm not sure who first coined the phrase, the only thing saltwater can't destroy is saltwater. Well, you know what that sounded like to the engineers at Shimano? That sounded like a challenge, and their response is now on the shelves of Strike Zone Fishing. The new spinning reels are called Twin Power, and they feature the infinity drive, which means there's not a fish around they can't stop. That's because of their new heat sink drag, which means a hot wahoo or tuna can run as fast as they want, and you never have to worry about your drag heating up. Even better, the new Twin Powers are built to become the best reels ever at fighting saltwater intrusion. Listen, everybody's heard or experienced the problems with seeing the latest and greatest actually on the shelves of your local tackle shop. Well, I'm here to tell you that Shimano's partnership with Strike Zone means that you can always count on finding the latest and greatest lining the shelves of both Strike Zone locations. Our thanks to John Earhart for a great Stewart report. Now, it's time to hit the mayor of South Beach, one Alan Sherman. Alan, how's your fishing?
Our fishing's been pretty good.
Good deal. Weather straightened out at all for you?
It's funny that you should say that. We definitely have lost the wind, but now we are definitely in the rainy season.
Yeah.
So we got blasted by some big storms late this afternoon, but it was like slick glass, all day up until that point. And there's fish to be caught. Bait fish is tough. You spend a lot of time trying to acquire bait unless you can buy some. But once you get bait, the offshore fishing hasn't been bad at all. In the mornings, there's kingfish, there's dolphin, bonitas, sailfish. As it starts to warm up a little bit, those fish tend to get a little more lockjaw. But then the bottom fishing's been pretty good. Today we had 2 groupers, a legal gag and a legal red grouper. That red grouper was like 9 pounds. But before that, we also had a sailfish sight casted and landed.
How cool is that?
Got him to boat side and released. It was a lot of fun. It was a great battle. we tried to get him on some artificial lures, and he was all lit up and excited about it, but he wouldn't commit. We tossed a pilcher to him, and it was just 1 second, and the fish was on. But we had a blast with that. The blackfin tuna fishing has been really good in the late afternoons, from late afternoon till dusk. You need, a decent amount of quality live baits to get them chummed up into a frenzy. And then you need some decent baits to cast to them. But these fish are bigger, 15 to 30 pounds. And, they're not catching tons of them, but, a couple, that's all you need, in a trip, and you're pretty good. We came in before that because the rain chased us in, and it really did storm for about 45 minutes or so. But now it's beautiful again.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yes.
Yeah, Alan, you've got an attitude about blackfins like I do. I've got one particular lure they just can't seem to turn down, and if we've got a 4-person crew when the second one hits the deck, that's if they're big ones like most of ours are.
Right.
That's it. Don't put that thing back out. We don't need any more of those. But that's a much, much better report. Hey, let me ask you something. I hear so much about historic Miami tackle shops. What
right.
if somebody comes to Miami? Let's see now. What section exactly do you leave from?
So I'm in North Miami.
Okay. So if you're in North Miami, what's the one tackle shop you need to visit?
Well, I'm going to travel to Bass Pro Shops, Outdoor World.
How about that? Okay.
It's there, and I'm right in the middle. There's one in South Miami, and then there's one in off of Dania Beach.
Right.
And it's a museum. Both of them are like museums.
Yep.
You go in there, they've got all the tackle you can possibly, want to choose from, all the brands, top quality, and then as you walk around, and they got these gigantic fish tanks with redfish and snook and sometimes baby tarpon in there, and maybe not tarpon. I don't know that I've seen tarpon
I
in
have.
there, but
yep, I've seen tarpon
you
in there
have.
at Dania. Yeah.
Okay, so then I was right. But there's so much history in there with the pictures all over the walls. It's a really cool place to go to. Now I also frequent one other tackle shop when I go to Flamingo, and that one's on US 1, and that's called Don's Bait and Tackle. And I have a lot of history with that place because I've been shopping there since I was a little kid. My father would take us there. We'd pick up our shrimp before we'd head to Flamingo or down to the Keys. So that's another one of my favorites.
Okay. Well, hopefully people that come to Miami won't miss those two tackle shops. Alan, it always amazes me. I look at, as you know, the one in Alamorada there has the old,
Right.
What's the name of the boat?
The Hemingway boat.
Hemingway fished. What the names walked right out of my head. Anyway,
Same here.
They have the rods and reels there from long, long ago. And it just
Right.
amazes me to consider that Hemingway hung up fishing in 1953 because the tackle had gotten so sophisticated the fish didn't have a chance anymore.
What do you think he would do if he was alive today? He'd take
I don't
up
know,
golf.
but he wouldn't recognize what we fish with, that's for sure. Cap, we appreciate it. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Look forward to it, Rick. Talk
Thanks,
to you then.
Alan. Captain Alan Sherman. All right, thanks to Alan Sherman for a great Miami report. Now, let's hop over to the West Coast and check in with one Captain Steve Dahl. Steve, how are you?
Oh, I couldn't be better, Rick. I couldn't be better.
Good. I tell you what it's getting to be, buddy. It's getting to be Castaway Hat time up here. It's gonna be in the mid-90s this week. I'll be fishing under my big brim.
It's 96 degrees on Wednesday, and about to say mid-90s all week. No cloud cover. Trust me, my Castaway hat will be adorned on my head. Tell
me about your fishing this week, Cap.
We're doing pretty good. Despite this little bit of heat wave, we're still getting a pretty good bite throughout the day, and we really haven't had a ton of rain. And we kind of got in this little summertime pattern where it was starting to rain every day about 2-3 o'clock, and that's kind of gone away the last few weeks, and we've been kind of met with a bunch of heat. So water temps are on the rise, and the trout and the redfish are kind of slowing down. That's indicative usually of summertime fishing, but the snook fishing and the tarpon fishing, whether it's adults or juveniles, has been stellar. So I would kind of curb the redfish and the trout for a bit, so we get a little bit of a cool down or some consistent rains to cool that water down. And I would target the snook and the tarpon. And really, the snook are pretty much about as predictable as they're going to get throughout the year, and they're lined up on the beaches, which is a really cool way to fish them. You could do it via boat, or you certainly could do walk it, so on many of the area beaches. But the reality is, boy, there are some good ones. I mean, it seems like every fish is over 30 inches, and they're just staring at you. And I like to use artificials when we do this. We generally do it from a boat. I have done it from shore. It's a lot of fun. But boy, that's a really fun way to catch them sight fishing them. So that's kind of what we've been targeting. Been kind of tarpon fishing in the early morning before that sun gets up. Then when the sun gets up, you're allowed, it's giving you a much easier way to target the sight fishing on the beaches. So you can, that's how I kind of approach my day right now, is that a couple hours in the morning of tarpon fishing at first light, and then I'm going to the beach to look for snook on the sandbars.
Now, do you have unlimited access to the beach? I mean, do they make you not fish when there's people swimming, or what's the deal with that?
No, that's the crazy part. All the public beaches kind of in our region kind of go from, Cape or Mile all the way up to, Gordon's Pass area. And the reality is some of those are private. You do need to heed a little caution with that. Most of them are hotels. So you got, you'll know pretty quickly what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But first thing in the morning, I'm not condoning anyone ever fishing a true private beach, but I've walked miles and miles of shoreline at first light, and with the exception of a couple of beach walkers, no one's out there. I don't think anybody would give you the hassle, but full disclosure, Steve Dahl didn't send you.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's got to be just a fantastic way to snook fish. There's no doubt. Hey, Steve, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If somebody is coming to Southwest Florida and my wife is about to kill me to come down there, and I want to come, and what tackle shop can't they miss?
There's no doubt. The one that kind of, there's some great ones in our area, but the one that kind of really shines apart from the rest is in Everglades City. It's Everglades Fishing Company, and the unique thing about Everglades Fishing Company is that it is a true one-stop shop for the fishermen. And when I say that, it's actually a gas station that has been converted into a breakfast and lunch spot, so you can grab breakfast, your ice, your baits, your drinks. It's a convenience store as well, full service tackle shop. So you can get all that, your gas, and literally, either head down to Chokoloskee or launch right within Everglades City. But the food is fantastic at the cafe. It's probably one of my very favorite spots to. I've gone out of my way to eat there. Great little place. But check out Everglades Fishing Company. Truly, truly a one-stop shop for a fisherman.
Outstanding. Thank you, Steve. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Good deal. Captain Steve Dahl. Our thanks to Steve Dahl for a great 10,000 Islands report. Now let's move up into Southwest Florida to the Snook Stamp Charter operation and check in with the main man himself, Greg Stamper. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Rick. Just got off the water.
They know better than that, Cap. You'll sleep well tonight. Tell me how it
was.
I will.
It was very good today for me in the Back Bay. All week, though, honestly, Rick, we've been on these big redfish, and I will continue to say, if we don't start catching smaller ones, we have a problem, because everything we're catching is upper slot and over slot all day long.
Well, here's my question. I mean, the big breeders, are they ugly?
No,
they just can't get a date? I mean, what the heck's going on down there?
They're not ugly, Rick, but I don't understand why I can't catch some small ones. To be honest with you, when I fish with shrimp, just messing around for snappers and small sheepshead with kids, I would think I would pick up a few, but we are not doing that. So that's a concern, but the big fish are definitely in our area. That's not a problem at all. And the snook and the juvenile tarpon are starting to show up. I don't know what's happening south of me, but to be honest with you, these juvenile tarpon, in my opinion, are a little bit late.
Huh, yeah, it does kind of seem that way. What's going on south of you from Steve is snook on the beach. He said the beach is just loaded with waiting snook.
All right, so I can tell you one thing. If you go on a big tarpon in my neck of the woods, we're talking about the Estero Bay area up to about Sanibel. These big fish are moving across our flats on the very, very end of our incoming tide. So if you have a high tide at, say, noon, and you're out there on those big flats around 11, they seem to be feeding, having a great time early, and around, the high tide, they're moving out to the offshore waters. And that's going to be pretty consistent, I would think, for about the next month or two.
I see. All right. That sounds like a good report. That sounds like some very active fishing down there. Hey, Greg, if somebody comes into your area, what tackle shop can't they miss?
Well, I probably have two of them, but the one that I can definitely tell you is going to be like the highlight of their career if they come down Bonita Beach Road is a place that probably sells more shirts than they actually sell tackle and bait, even though they're very knowledgeable and can tell you what's going on. And I'll tell you the name, Rick. It's called Master Bait and Tackle.
Well, that's because they're masters at rigging bait. That's why.
Yeah, exactly, Rick.
Yep.
But I can tell you that those guys are amazing. They have knowledge of what's going on. And if you go to the northern end of my area, Lear's Economy Tackle with Dave Westra is outstanding.
They've been there forever, haven't they? That's incredible.
Man, he knows. If you ask him a question about something, be ready to talk to him for a while, but he will tell you. He will tell you everything about it. He's fantastic. He's one of the best guys I know as far as coming into town and just talking straight up fishing.
We had a tackle shop up the road from us here in Jacksonville that the guy was just a master flounder fisherman, and he loved kids. And this guy comes in with his kid one day, and he says, I'm taking my boy flounder fishing. I need some mud minnows. And he said, how many you need? And he said, I'll take a dozen. And he said, you might want to take more than that if you're going to fish very long. And the guy says, well, okay. So the guy that owned the tackle shop, who was one of the best flounder fishermen in the world, right, says, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the end of these rocks, take your boy there, and I want you to start working there, and then that next dock down. And the guy says, hey, hold up. I know where the flounder are. Don't worry. And he walks out. And I'm like, oh, you idiot. You had it made. You just don't do that. When the guy at the tackle shop wants to tell you where the fish are, you listen to him.
You exactly, Rick. You listen to that guy. And on the near shore, it's been the regular tarpon, etc. permit. But the offshore guys, I have a guy who went out 2 days ago. He got to 170 feet. He caught big black grouper and 4 and 5 pound mangoes like they were going crazy. So there's the other side of the world there. I don't go that far, Rick. I'm sure you do, but that's not for me.
I'll be running that far day after tomorrow. All right, Greg, we appreciate the heck out of it. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Oh, absolutely. Tight lines, Rick.
Tight lines to you, Greg. Okay, time to hop up to West Central and find out what Captain Markham's up to. Ray, how are you?
I'm terrific. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing fine, buddy. I'm going to predict your fishing was pretty good this week. We got a little favorable break in the weather.
Well, the fishing, let me put it this way. Okay, the weather was beautiful. Okay, and because of that, I decided to fish the old home waters here in Pinellas County, which have been somewhat devoid of fish, per se, because of the red tide issues over the past few years. And actually, I was pleasantly surprised. Probably caught a dozen or more trout that were, about 10 to 12 inches long. Lots of silver trout, which I haven't seen silver trout around much in the last, 5-6 years. Of course, we caught the assorted others, the lizardfish, the ladyfish, the catfish, the pinfish. But it was really good to see a lot of bait in places I haven't seen bait in over a year.
Good deal.
So I think things are looking up on the inshore scene for sure.
You heard anything from offshore?
And, most of the guys are going out deep and getting a lot of red grouper. Big red grouper, probably 25, 30 pounders. They're getting a lot of blackfin tuna, some wahoo, some dolphin,
that
kind of thing.
Outstanding.
So, they're burning some fuel to do it, so I hope they're getting their money's worth.
Ray, how far offshore is that for you? To blue water fishing?
These guys are probably, let me put it this way, about 30 miles out is about 100 feet of water. So they're going well beyond that. I'm hearing guys that are doing 60, 70 miles.
Well,
you might as well say they've gone to the middle ground.
That's just like it is here. I mean, I'm going day after tomorrow. My first stop will be 68. So
shoot, I was a mile and a half, 2 miles offshore off of Stewart, and I was in 120 feet of water.
and you got a nosebleed. Yeah, I know.
Pretty much.
I know. Hey, Ray, if somebody comes to your area, what tackle shop can't they miss? Now, you can only have one.
Oh my. Well, I'll tell you, we are blessed to have a plethora of really good tackle shops. The one that I deal with a lot is Betts Fishing Center in Largo. Mm-hmm. They have a staff of guys that are really knowledgeable, both in freshwater and saltwater. They have an array of tackle for inshore, offshore, blue water stuff, freshwater, a little bit of everything. And in addition, they are a sales and service center for Minn Kota, D.O.A, Shimano, a bunch of different tackle companies that they can fix pretty much anything that my customers can screw up.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you're right, though. You guys over there, God, I remember T.A. Mahoney's and,
sure.
I mean, you guys have got a lot of really good tackle shops there. There's no question about that. You're blessed in that area. Raymond, we appreciate it as always. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
You bet, brother. We'll take care then.
Captain Ray Markham from the West Central area. Now, one of my favorite guys on the planet, the mayor of Homosassa himself, one William Toney. How we doing, Skip?
Doing good. We're down here in downtown Homosassa in some beautiful May weather. It's this week is, without the blood moon messing everything up. If you need an excuse, just blame the blood moon, or whatever it was. But right now on the inshore, if you're looking for some good trout action, I would use a 1/8 ounce jig head with a pearl or we'll say glow color. And if that's not getting the job done, I've been using golden brim. So those two colors have been good for the inshore for the trout. Now, redfish, it's been a different story. Been wanting live bait. I've been catching most of mine on live shrimp. So, that's a good thing.
Yep, I would say so. How's your mangrove snapper fishing? Is it still holding up?
There is some, and I had not myself gone out there to deeper waters, but I've heard in the rock piles from 8 to about 14 foot of water, so good mangroves have showed up. But the big push right now, and everybody's been targeting them, and finally we've got feral winds, that could let guys get out there to catch them, is cobia.
Oh, good deal. I haven't heard much about cobia this week. Tell me what
Well,
they've seen.
Well, I've seen a couple here at the dock, and most cobia that I've seen being caught have been up toward Crystal River, we'll say near the spoil banks, and that area off the banks is a little deeper. We're in a pretty shallow shelf here on the Big Bend, which drops like 1 foot per mile. So when you get up toward Crystal River or Cedar Key and that area, it tends to drop a little bit more. But when they dug in the Cross Florida Barge Canal and the coal plant and all that at the Duke Energy plant, it made some deeper water and some spoils in that area. So lots of markers and lots of buoys in there. So a lot of areas that cobia like to hang out, they like that big structure. So if you're really looking for cobia, that might be a good area for you to hit this weekend.
Oh, that sounds outstanding. I tell you what, it's been a tough spring so far for cobia around most of our area. So I'm really glad to hear of some showing up for you. Hey, let me ask you a question. If somebody comes into your neck of the woods, what tackle shop can't they miss?
I would have to say in our area here on the south end of the Big Bend, I would say Sodium and Crystal River. They have a fantastic shop. Casey and the guys up there have listened to the local anglers and people who come up here to fish on what they need to carry. Now, they got everything from the best rods, high end, medium end, and the low end, all the good reels, all the tackle you could imagine, and this absolutely opened up a brand new showroom. They have apparel of Sodium clothes, but they also have a fly room. So anything that you can think of, I think they got it covered there. So Sodium and Crystal River, I would have to say, gets my vote here on the Big Bend.
That's the hangout. All right, Captain William, that's an outstanding report. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
I'll be down here directing the golf cart traffic, and if they get out of hand, I know how to smack them around.
You go right ahead. We'll see you soon, William. We got a scalloping trip coming up for too long.
Absolutely.
We'll talk with you soon. Thank you, William.
All righty.
Okay, that means it's time to head out west. But before we get into the northwest section, how about a word from the Castaway Hat Company? I'll bet you don't even remember the days when all us cool kids would rub baby oil mixed with iodine to help us get even darker in the summertime. Being burnt was cool, and even if you weren't a surfing legend, you sure looked the part. Oh man, if we paid the price for our vanity, we never knew the skin problems and health damage that awaited us. Today's fishermen have the option of being so much healthier in the sun than we ever thought of, thanks in no small part to the Castaway Hat Company, who not only provide our podcasters with the Castaway straw hats, but they make the coolest prints on the underside of the brims you ever saw. Now, you may think your Bimini top or T-top blocks the sun, but as an awful lot of us OGs can tell you, you can't have enough sun protection to keep the damage away. Do what we do. Put on the sunblock and put on your Castaway straw hat. You'll look the part of today's best anglers, and you'll even be helping the environment. That's because for each Castaway hat sold, the Castaway Company will have 1 pound of trash removed for our waterways. They will pay to have it done. The burning sun won't be roasting your skin, and believe you me, when you age a few years, you'll thank us old guys that have spent a lifetime getting torched on the water. Go to CastawayHatCo.com. That's CastawayHatCo.com and get your best sun protection today. Castaway Hat Company, a hat for every adventure.
You know what Yamaha Outboards love? The genuine formula and consistency of Yamalu marine engine oils. Outboards are subjected to punishing conditions like high loads, salt, and humidity, a mix that automotive oils can't handle. Yamalu full synthetic and marine performance formulas are certified to protect against friction and corrosion for reliable performance every time. Find Yamalu marine oils at your nearest Yamaha Outboard dealer. Locate them at YamahaOutboards.com/dealers. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
Hey, Raj, being consistent is a mark of a quality product. If you've been Florida's #1 chum for over 10 years, there's got to be a reason.
For 10 years, Tournament Master Chum has lived up to his name. That's why more tournament pros insist on Tournament Master than any other chum. It's the only chum with Menhaden milk mixed right in. That means it gets the scent out faster and deeper than any other brand of chum. It comes in a grind size for every species from kingfish to catching bait. Your fishing time is way too precious to use second-rate chum. Bring the action to you by insisting on Tournament Master chum. It's worth every penny.
When you're ready for the finest in custom-made flat spay or inshore-offshore hybrids, you are ready to meet the Young family in Inglis, Florida. For over 21 years, the Young family has built custom boats one at a time for every type of fishing. Nothing can sneak up on a flat quite like the Gulf Shore flats boats, and I've never fished a better hybrid than the Young 24s and 27s. Rob Young is a naval architect who takes tremendous pride in each and every build for each and every customer that wants their boat custom built exactly the way they want it. Is it time for you to move up? Are you ready to own the finest boat built? Then you need to visit the Young Boat Facility in Inglis, Florida, or check them out online at youngboats.com. Our thanks to William Toney for everything worth knowing about Homosassa. William loves his home. There's no doubt about that. Now we're going to head up further into the Northwest section and talk with Kevin Lanier. Kevin, how's your fishing?
Hey, Captain Riggs, the fishing was actually we went out today, and it was excellent today. We got a whole big load of fish today, so that was great.
Yeah, what'd you get?
Well, we got pretty much every jack you can keep. We got boat limit of triggers. We've got vermilions. We've got porgies. We just got quite a bit. Caught the biggest hardtail I have ever seen blue runner in my life today.
I bet it pulled good.
Well, it was funny because the customer pulled it up and I looked down the water and I said, "Is that a bluefish?" And my deckhand said, "Oh man, that's a hardtail blue runner. Good Lord!" So that was a good. That was exciting. So we had a good day though.
Good deal.
Great water. Good day.
Good deal. You heard anything from inshore?
Yeah, flounder fishing's outstanding right now here. Guys are getting a lot of them. Redfish starting to pick back up. It had slowed down a little bit, but it's doing real well. Water temps getting up there around 80 degrees now on the, around the beaches and everything. So that's having everything pick up.
Good deal. I am so glad to hear it. Hey, Kevin, if somebody comes into your area, what tackle shop can't they miss?
Either the Mexico Beach Marine Store or Blue Water Outriggers. Those are our two main tackle stores.
Blue Water Outriggers or Mexico Beach Marine Store?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, they can get their knowledge there about where they need to go to fish, right?
Yeah, they'll. I would say the Mexico Beach Marine Store has probably got a little more local knowledge. But the guys down at Blue Water are good as well.
All right, excellent. Real quick, because I know you know the answer to this one. How many days till snapper season?
Oh, we got a week and a half. So
a week and a half, if you make it that long. Thank you, Cap. We appreciate it as always.
All right, we'll talk to you next time.
Take care, Captain Kevin. All right. Before we head on out of here, let's get a word from D.O.A. You know, I recently had a chance to stop by D.O.A. World Headquarters in Stuart, Florida. I was not the least bit surprised to see company founder Mark Nichols hard at work on a new fish-catching invention. What was shocking to me was he was working on the original D.O.A. shrimp, the same shrimp he patented in 1985. That is the stealthiest bait ever made, the bait that lands so subtly that spooky fish will never hear it coming. It was getting Mark's full attention. "What are you doing?" was the obvious question. Mark looked at me sideways. "Hey, I've never stopped working on the shrimp. It's got to catch more fish every year, so I've got to make each one a little better than the last. I've brought all the production in-house, and that means today's 3 and 4 inch shrimp are consistently the best we've ever built." Well, you know what? I get it. D.O.A. Shrimp has fooled 1 million fish since 1985, and now it's got to keep up with the times to keep making your fishing better. The water is clear. The fish are spooky. The 2022 version of the D.O.A. Shrimp is the stealthiest, most lifelike, deadliest bait you can throw. Our thanks to Captain Kevin Lanier, and that puts a wrap on what has been a whole lot of fun going around Florida. I tell you, everybody was, even grumpy old Alan Sherman was in a good mood. Our fishing is good in May here in Florida, and you need to get every day you can. I know I'm struggling trying to get out more. The mahi on the East Coast have got to be the highlight. Talked to a friend of mine today that was out of bait by like 11:30 and was throwing surface lures at 20-pound fish. It was just incredible. There's been some blue marlin caught. Not a bunch, but I'll bet Jacksonville has given up a half a dozen in the last week or so. And that, for here, is pretty doggone good marlin fishing. So it was a lot of fun. I know I certainly enjoyed it. And, of course, this Action Spotter and all of our Action Spotters are brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. By Shimano, bringing people and nature together. By Tournament Master Chum, the best chum on earth. By Nosara Paradise Rentals, your dream destination. By D.O.A. Lures, the unfair advantage. By Young Boats. You want the finest in flat spay and offshore hybrids, you need to check out youngboats.com. And by the Castaway Hat Company, the hats that help and save our seas. Hey, listen, before we go, we got some great fan mail this week that really made my week. If you like the show, and especially if you don't like the show and you'd like to see something changed on it, please drop me an email at rick@floridasportsman.com, and I'll be more than happy to respond, and we will get your topic on the air right away if you want to hear from the experts. So until next week, I'm Captain Rick Riles for Florida Sportsman Magazine, and I will see you on the rip.